Welcome everyone to our Wednesday night power hour. And I'm super excited about this very special conversation that we're just about to have tonight. Tonight is entitled Our Children Are Our Biggest Teachers. And I really hope that the people who are here and the people that watch this afterwards, that they really do get an opportunity to see things, even if it's just slightly different, after today's conversation. Just some Zoom logistics that I just want to run through. So firstly, please don't wait until the end if you've got any questions. Absolutely, just pop it in the chat. If something comes up, we will answer it. If you hear something that really resonates with you, in other words, we call those our aha moments, please write it down. So you need to have a journal with you right now because that was no coincidence. You were meant to hear that. Write it down, it was meant for you. If at any stage today you hear something and you feel any kind of resistance, and when I say that, I mean anything new, our brains interpret as danger. Our brains don't like new information. Our brains like certainty. We like predictability, and we like to be reassured of the same things that we've always believed. And then sometimes somebody comes along with a new perspective or a new way of looking at things, and it shakes those beliefs up. And because our brains resist it, we normally throw that stuff out. So if that does happen to you while you're listening to this, I just want to urge you to just take a deep breath, look around, and tell yourself, like, I really am safe. I'm safe. Because nobody's going to force you to believe anything, right? I have a saying that says, take what is yours and leave the rest. So if it's meant for you and you want to take it in, take it in. If you don't want it, that's also fine. I have a friend that says, you need to be open-minded, but not that open-minded that your brain falls out. So that really is you being able to see for yourself what lands. And yes, I really, at Grit, we don't believe that you're going to get any change does not happen by learning. Change does not happen by listening. That stuff is really important, but the real change happens when we know or we learn something and then we go and implement it into our lives. So change needs to be a doing word. It needs to be a verb. And so I hope that you can at least take one thing from today that you can go implement that will make the connection with the next generation easier, or maybe just open up your eyes to something that you haven't seen before. So let's get going. So I'm Candice Bester. I'm the founder at Grit Grow. I am extremely passionate about helping people to see who they are, to love who they are, and to become the best versions of themselves. All the work that I teach is through learned experience, because I do believe that experience is the absolute best teacher. So I had to get it wrong a whole lot of times before I got it right. And so what I teach and what I believe to my core is definitely because I got it wrong first. Somebody told me something, it didn't work, it didn't work, it didn't work. And then I was like, oh, let me try that. And then when I tried that, it really worked. And this is what has become a part of my company and who I really am today. So today I'm joined by my firstborn child, Jedd Bester. Jedd is 18 years old. I just want to give you a little bit. I did clear this with him first because I was like, what can I share? And I didn't want to get this to be embarrassing for him, but he was good for me to say anything, literally. Jedd, the photos will come up at the end. Just kidding. So, so he was okay with me to share, but ever since I can remember, Jedd was 45 minutes old, literally 45 minutes old. And my family came to visit me in hospital, and my sister-in-law looked him in the eyes and said, he is an old soul. And ever since that day, I'll never forget that summed him up. She could see it in a baby that wasn't even 1 hour old. And often has said things along the journey, and I just go like, how? How does he know this? I've never told him it. There's no ways the school has taught him this. How does he know this stuff? And that's where really I'm like, how does he know this stuff? So that's where the old soul really does come into play. When he was 1 year old, I did something called, it was like an awakening of a weekend. And it really, really switched on a whole lot of lights for me. I was very lucky that his dad was on the same page as me. And so we implemented something called conscious parenting. So if you want to know what that is, go onto the internet. There's tons of stuff around this. But in a nutshell, what conscious parenting is, we've got our own triggers, we've got our own beliefs, we've got our own conditioning as parents. And when we parent from triggers, we will put that stuff on our kids and we will control our kids and we will not allow them the space to become who they are. I'm not, I definitely was not the best parent and the perfect parent. In actual fact, I thought I knew everything until he was born, and then I realized I was winging it most of the time. Um, but really, it is a great way to parent because your brain, when you are in fight or flight, it doesn't make the right decisions. Like whatever you're going to do next is going to not be clear. And so, yes, another thing that conscious parenting is no punishment, no rewards. You've got to get the child to intrinsically do the right thing, not because they're scared or not because they're going to get rewarded for it. Trust me, it was very, very hard many, many times. So when he was 2 years old, I saw this spark in him, and I was like, oh my goodness, I sat my husband down and I was like, we've got a choice here. We can either embrace this, like society would call it stubborn, but I would like to say he had a fire in his belly, and when he wanted something and he knew what he wanted, you could literally stand on your head and blow bubbles out your butt. There was no ways that he was gonna budge. He was 2 years old, and I really needed him to eat. He was a terrible eater, and I was like, okay, do you see that cake on the top of the cupboard? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so if you eat your food, you can have the cake. And he was like, no. It's like, okay, if you eat half your food, you can have the cake. No. Okay, if you just have one spoon of your food, and he was like, I don't want the cake. And that was like literally how he lived his life. He has challenged me in ways that I can't even begin to imagine. I have put things in trainings. In other words, I have printed journals that has been accredited, that I have stood in front of teachers and taught. We have had to go back and change the manual because he would challenge me on something and I would see something differently and I'd be like, actually, I was wrong. So, Jedd, without any more words from me, because I know that's a lot, just tell us a little bit about Jedd Bester.
So yeah, my name is of course Jedd Bester. Thank you, Mom, for inviting me here, and thank you to everyone for joining on this lovely evening. A bit about myself is I have this perspective on life where on a day-to-day basis, I'm fully conscious of extracting as much out of my day as possible, whether it be, in a work aspect or in, experiences and learning. And I think that's a skill that I've become quite fond of is extracting as much out of this as possible. And so that's sort of the mindset I go in with on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, that's just a bit about the mindset I have on a day-to-day basis. In short term, what I do is you could put it as farming. It's a lot more complex and more in depth than that. But yeah, that's a bit about what I do. And like I said, this life is about experiences and learning and surrounding yourself with people that are meaningful. And I think that's the goal for me on my day-to-day basis.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, yes, exactly. That's your day for you. Tell us a little bit about what a day in your life looks like. So you said that you're a farmer, you said you're 18, you love to take the best out of life. But what does a normal day in your life look like?
So obviously, it's definitely I've made quite a bit of sacrifices, and I put my all into everything I do, and so usually a day to day looks for what it looks like for me is, 4 a.m. wake up. I'm very fond of exercise. I think that that gets me on the right track in my flow state when it comes to work. So I'm very fond about exercising, and I like to wake up early, work late, and yeah, I'm passionate about a lot of things. And yeah, that's sort
Okay,
of.
so I think I'm gonna paint the picture. You are a workaholic. You wake up at 4, you go to gym, you work all day, you come home very, very late. And we've had many discussions to say that's not good, that's not good. And recently you said to me, you know what, Mom, something along the lines of you've got to find things to put into your day to make your life more enjoyable. Otherwise, you're going to not enjoy your life. And I was like, yes, he saw it. So what were those things? Like, what are some of the things you put into your day to make your life more enjoyable? Because let's be honest, it's not going to be fun if you look back in 10 years and you go, that's what I did, I worked.
Yeah, so for me, it was, to be honest, a lesson that I came across was that it's about the small things on your day to day, your day to day. So there was a time where I was like, I really want a coffee in the morning. I want to go to this coffee shop down the road and get a coffee. And I was like, no, it's not gonna be working for this period of time, and it's a waste of time and money and so on and so forth. And then you actually came to me and you reminded me that it's about the small things. And so from that point onwards, I was like, I'm gonna go and buy that coffee. And it's to me, or for me, it's about these small things in your day that are meaningful and impactful. And yeah, that's
I love that. I love that. And how much does that enhance your day?
it seems small and it seems very insignificant, but just that one extra coffee in the morning, it gets you on the right vibration. It gets you, yeah, it gets you on the right vibration, in the right state, and ready to give it your all. And it's those things that add up. And yeah.
Beautiful. Are there any other things that you do in your day that you've put in place that you know that you look forward to?
I think a big thing for me is it sounds a bit feminine, but I'm quite passionate about cooking and what I eat, and eating healthy. And so especially at the end of the day, I look forward to coming home and cooking a really healthy meal, and yeah, and having time to just enjoy a meal where you're not focused on all the other ongoings in life. And yeah, again, it's one of the
Beautiful.
small things.
It sounds like you start your day well and you end your day well, which means in the middle, it'll be better. So, and welcome, Lillian. It's so lovely to have you here. I haven't had a chance to say welcome. Thank you for joining. So I just want to pause and say to the people that are listening and the people who will watch this recording, like, how does that ring for you? Like, think about this. Like, do you get into bed at night and go, I had the worst day? And maybe, just maybe, there's a couple of things that you could put in place that could just enhance it a little bit more. It might be, okay, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to have a coffee and I'm going to sit in, well, it's coffee, 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 coffee. We sound like we coffee. But it could just be, I'm going to go sit in the office, I mean, in the staff room or the tea room, and I'm just going to sit quietly for 10 minutes. And then you really start to look forward to that quiet time.
Hmm.
The thing about driving ourselves to that stress and overwhelmed state is so much of it is us. And then we say it's our boss, it's our this, it's our that, but nobody's going to stop you from putting little things into your day that you know that you could look forward to, that is just going to enhance it, even if it's just a little bit. So I love that. Okay, I don't know how comfortable you're going to be to answer this, but is there something, what is the thing you're the most proud of yourself at this stage in your life?
Well, the thing I'm most proud of in this stage of my life is obviously this last year has been an absolute, change of setting and environment, and a lot of different changes in my life. And so, I obviously came out of school with this ego, thinking I knew it all. And, as soon as you enter the working world, or different environments, and you go into it thinking you know it all, I came to the realization pretty quickly that I didn't know it all, and you have to take a step back in order to, absorb information and really, you know, grow and learn. And so for me, the thing I'm really proud of was the fact that I noticed that and I was able to take a step back and notice my surroundings and learn from them, which was
Beautiful.
something, yeah.
I'm like literally, I want to like jump out of my skin. I'm excited to say the next piece because for parents that are watching this, how much time do you spend just like desperate for your children to get what you're trying to teach them? Like, if they could just see how bad this is for them, or if they could just agree with what I'm going to say. Like, think about this for a moment. If they don't get it from you, they're going to get it eventually. And so I call life the biggest teacher. Like, that's also what's conscious parenting. Life is the biggest teacher. If you feel like you are so desperate to control how your kids see the world and what they get and what they learn, please just know that they're going to get it when they're ready to learn it. And that happens with us too, by the way. We get it when we're ready to learn it. And it's so I'm so glad that you got that so early because humility for me is one of the most beautiful qualities. It looks good on everyone. And when you step into an environment where you think you know everything, you will be brought to your knees a whole lot of times until you finally get it. So that was a great share. I'm so glad that you really did get that. Okay, so Jed, I want you to think about when life gets really hard, because I know you've had some real rough patches and figuring things out. And when that happens, how do you handle it? Like, what are your coping mechanisms to get through those hard times?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think it's different for everyone, but personally, for me, the first thing that I'll sort of go to is laughing. It sounds strange, but I'll usually laugh about how crap the situation is or whatever it may be. But a lesson that I've learned throughout this journey is to obviously put it in clear words. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm fully in with that. And I think especially when you're going through these hardships and these hard times, and instead of seeing them as difficult and hard, looking at them from the perspective of, I'm going to get something out of this, I'm going to learn something new, and I'm going to, at the end of the day, be a better person moving forward. And that's a very valuable lesson I've learned.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So I want to pause on this for a moment. When we resist life as it is unfolding in front of us, that resistance is what causes what I believe the struggle. The struggle is not coming from the outside, the struggle is coming from the inside. So when
Hmm.
we resist it, in other words, we are like, this shouldn't be happening. He shouldn't have said that. She shouldn't have said that. If they had only, that's called resistance. And that's the opposite of what you've just said, Jed, because you're going like, okay, this is happening. Out
Hmm.
of this, something good is going to happen, and everything happens for a reason. And you don't need to believe that. I know there's a lot of people that have gone through really tough times, tragic things that have happened to them. And when I say everything happens for a reason, they get so angry. And then I say, okay,
Hmm.
I get it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to say like, I love what's happening. But that resistance to what is not in your control, what is coming at you, is what creates the suffering. So
Yeah.
you've got a choice in that moment. And now coming to a
Yeah.
story. This is one of my favorite stories ever. Oh my gosh. Okay, so not so long ago, it was like a Friday afternoon, and I went to go and fetch Jed from work, and it was pouring with rain. And I was sitting in the car, and he works quite far. So I had worked out how much traffic it was going to be to get home. And I had my other two at home. So, I needed to get home. And he just wasn't coming out of the office. So 10 minutes went by, and I was triggered. And 15 minutes went by, and I was triggered. And eventually I was like, okay, I'm going to embrace this. So I put my chair down, and I had a 20-minute nap. And I woke up, and I was like, now it's an hour. So now I'm triggered. Like, I'm like, you know what? And I've got this whole speech plan. I'm going to phone him and I'm going to tell him, either Jade, you come with me now or you get an Uber home. But like, I need to leave. So I'm calling him and I'm calling him and I'm calling. Anyway, long story short, many hours later, we are sitting at home and I hear my voice and I'm like, what is that? So I go into the lounge and he's laughing his head off and he's on a video call with his cousin and he's screen sharing his phone. And what he had done is, in the thick of chaos, so they had a geyser that wasn't working. He was standing on the like a water pump or
Can I,
something, that he was standing
yeah,
on the top of a ladder. It was pouring with rain. His mom was on a video call screaming at him. His work partner was screaming at him from another part of the room. And he just thought, okay, I'm just going to record this. And he stood in the pouring rain recording the entire thing as it was going down. And took a step back and I was like, oh my goodness, is that what I look like when I'm angry? That was a big eye opener for me. But I was like, how is it possible that he's not caught up in the people are shouting, people are, it's hot. How, Jade, how do you do that? I've seen
yeah.
that about
So
you. It's like you become a fly on the wall and you are observing this scene as if you're not in it. How do you do that?
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's a skill I've learned. I don't know. I think it could just be a personality thing, but it's hard to see the benefit, when you're in the moment. But looking back, people sort of get it. But it's weird for me. I sort of take a step back in the moment, and I
Wow.
can see the results of this. I can already see what I'm gonna get out of this. And in that instance, it was a good laugh and a fond memory.
It's absolutely great. I don't know. Can you imagine if us as adults could do that? Because we get so absorbed in the chaos and the problem. Like we get sucked in and we're living it as if it's a life or death thing. If we could just take a step back, be an observer and watch this stuff going down. My word, like I don't know how you do that, but I'm still going to learn how to do that. That was absolutely phenomenal for me. So that was something that I definitely learned to take a step back. Okay, so Jed, I have a company called Grit, and grit means resilience. And what does that word mean for you?
Well, resilience. I think, I think I mentioned it before. It sort of plays along with what we mentioned previously, and I think you have quite a good understanding of the word resilience. I think you could you
Okay.
could answer this question quite
Okay.
confidently.
So I mean, you are the epitome of resilience. Like it's that you just never give up. If you look at people that have really successfully navigated their lives, not because it was always good, but
Mm,
because they got to the stage where that stuff that they'd gotten through it. They've all got the exact same quality inside of them. And it's like, I'm not, whatever happens, there's not an option but to keep going. And
mm,
what people don't realize is resilience is a muscle that gets built over time. You're not born with resilience. It gets built over time. And how does it get built? It gets built from our struggles. And so on the days that I am, and just, I'm going to actually ask you, like, see if this resonates with you. On the days that I'm resilient versus the days that I'm not resilient, it all comes down to how I am internally. So if I am tired, hungry, not mentally in a good space, or going through challenges, like everything feels like a big mountain to climb. But
mhm.
if I'm looking after myself, if I'm gymming, if I'm eating well, if I'm getting enough sleep, in other words, if my
Yeah, yeah,
self-care is well in place, those things aren't as bigger obstacles. I don't know if you want to
yeah.
add.
No, no, I think you hit that spot on. It's all these additives that add to you personally that you can do throughout your day. And I think that does add to resilience. And I think you hit a spot on there. I think you did.
Okay. Okay, beautiful. So I always say to people, resilience is the reward you get for loving yourself. And loving yourself is also a thing that you have to do over time. And I just want to pause for a moment here because Loving yourself is things like how do you talk to yourself? How do you get yourself through difficult situations? Do you allow yourself to be a work in progress? In other words, get it wrong, fail, be face flat in the dirt, and then get up again and get up again and get up again. Mel Robbins has this thing, and this is my go-to. She says, there is absolutely no way, there is absolutely no categorical way that my hard work is not going to pay off. There is no ways my hard work is not going to pay off. And we need that kind of thing because in the moment, it doesn't feel like it's paying off. And often it takes so much longer than we want. We want to sort out our relationships. We want to love ourselves. We want the perfect body. We want to lose the weight. And we want it like this.
Yeah.
So it's the gumption. It's the I'm in it for the long haul. Um, that's really important. Okay, now Jedy, we're gonna flip over to family and friends for a moment because we've spoken a lot about resilience and work. I see you. I'm actually in awe of you because Jed has got a younger sister who's 3 years younger than him, Mika, and then he's got a younger brother who's 7 years younger than him, Tarek. And when I watch him with his siblings, I literally, it's incredible. I don't know an 18-year-old who has time for his younger siblings like he does. So tell me about that. I know you're someone who really cares. Why do you think this is so important to you?
Firstly, like having people look up to you, I think it's a burden and it's also a little bit of a curse, but it's mostly beautiful. Um, especially how my little brother and sister look up to me. You get to watch them firstly grow, but you also get to teach them a bit about the lessons that you learned throughout your life, which I think is very important. You also get to set an example for them and to sort of get them on the right course, the right path. And yeah, no, I'm very glad that I have a sister and a brother that are very fond of me and who look up to me. And I'm honored that I get the opportunity to be their role models. And yeah, that's
I mean, there must be something that's happened, or at least it must be who you are. There's something inside of you that believes that that's really important. Um, and it's what drives you. And I think that's why you can pause and be present. Um, and I don't see it as an ego thing. I think it's I don't know, like do you think it's just who you are, or do you think something's happened that you've taken on that's your role? Why
yeah.
why do you
So
think it's so important?
firstly, I mean, like a lot of it is where sort of not lessons, but areas where I felt I could do better, where they hadn't. How do I put this? Um,
You learned it
it,
before then.
yeah, you learn before them, and you notice what they're missing in their life, and or where you were missing in your life, and you get to fill that gap. And I
Oh,
think,
wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow. I'm very glad that you said it also can be a burden because it can be quite heavy to know that they're watching you all the time. And that's the truth. Like, whether you're a sibling or a parent, like, ooh, it's quite scary when you think about how our kids are watching us. And
Mm,
they're learning from us. And they literally, you are their role models. And that's a very, very big role that we get to play. And that just
mhm,
brings me back to consciousness and awareness of um, how do I want to be remembered? That's a big thing for me. Yeah. So it's just interesting for me. I think I also drilled it into you a lot. Like it was probably, I mean, one of my very deep core values is kindness. I've always said it costs nothing. Like just be kind. Like if you can't be
mm,
kind, walk away. Like and so kindness still to this day, it's like one of my biggest things to instill in someone. So
mm.
hopefully I also had
Yeah.
something to do with that.
Yeah, but there was this special, obviously, we were living in a divorced household, and it was like the three of us against the world. And so we got to develop this very close bond between the three of us. And that, yeah, that was definitely a moment I'll cherish forever, is that connection between all three of us, which added to the whole, them looking up to me.
Yep. I mean, that hasn't come up yet, but what I haven't told everyone is that I think it's now 6.5 years ago, Jedd's dad and I split up, and yeah, we're divorced, and they lived with us 1 week on and 1 week off. So for a great part of Jedd's teenage years, he was literally packing up and moving every single week. Every Friday that he was adjusting, and it's quite scary
Yeah.
to think that you guys spent more time with each other than I've spent with you over the last six
Yeah.
6 years. Wow. Okay, so I just want to speak about the generational thing. What do you think the world needs more of from people your age? So if you look at the people your age and you observe and you see things, because I mean you hang out with them, you've got your friends, like what do you think they need to be in this world?
I think that, the younger generations, especially from our experience, I think we get suppressed quite a bit in the sense of the things you learn in school, and no one really gets the opportunity to show their passions or what they want to do throughout their lifetime. And it's literally sort of, they're cultivated like this from school until they end up in the working world, and they don't get the opportunity throughout this, journey to express their true thoughts and emotions. And I think, yeah, it's a very vital role in, becoming your own person, and, being creative and changing the world. And I think, it's the system that we unfortunately have to deal with. And I think if everyone can come together and notice that, I think there would be significant differences.
So even if I think of me as an adult and how important it is for me to have a voice, I really wish that we could give children more of a voice, and I do see a lot of parents giving kids a voice. So this is not putting anything into a box here. It is happening a lot more than when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But it means that we have to take a step back and we have to stop controlling as much as what we are. I realized many years ago that I was an absolute control freak. Like I needed to control the kids when I was a teacher. I needed to control my own children. And it comes in so subtly. So it's like, you know, do your homework. Have you put your plate in the sink? Be kind to your brother. That if you actually, like you do, take a step back and realize how much of our children's lives are being controlled by the schooling system, by the parenting. And it is vital for our children to become who they were meant to be. In other words, how God made them. And that can only come from a space of freedom, free choice.
Hmm.
So when I
Hmm.
when I realized this a couple of years ago, I was actually teaching grade one at the time. I've told the story many times. So whoever's listening, if you've heard it, sorry, you have to hear it again. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I am controlling my everyone. So you didn't know this at the time, but I'd set an alarm for 30 minutes in my classroom, 30 minutes at home, where I would literally sit on my hands for 30 minutes a day, so an hour a day. And I knew that for the next 30 minutes, I was not allowed to interfere with a child, not allowed to help a child, just let them be. And I learned so many valuable lessons in that time. I realized that nothing bad happened. The house didn't burn down. Nobody killed each other. In my classroom, I remember the one child was like, he took my pencil. And the other child walked past, grabbed it, sat down, and they carried on. And I was like, they sorted that out. Nothing happened. And the skills that the children learn from that space of just letting them be. And yeah, I mean, it's so, so, so important because think about it. How many adults are in therapy today because they don't know who they are? They haven't been
Hmm.
allowed to be who they are. And that comes from a space of take a step back and less controlling. And I can just
But
hear these voices. But then my child's going to rule the roost. I don't want to retrobate. a child will become a delinquent. Whose voice is that? Is that what you've been told? Because I have come to see that the kids that get more freedom of speech, who are allowed to be who they are more than the kids that are controlled, they're actually better citizens in society.
Mhm.
So that's and it is,
Yeah.
it's
And it's,
yeah.
to be honest with you, it's a little bit of a balance. I think it's obviously I don't have children, so I'm not the most experienced in that in that aspect. But I think it's about a lot about teaching them the correct morals and lessons in life, and then, like you said, giving them that space to be free and creative. And yeah, I think that's what you guys did brilliantly.
I'm busy smiling from ear to ear because I know as a parent, we've got the same thing going on. We so badly don't want to be like our parents, and so we want to change the trajectory of our children's lives. And I saw this I saw this thing on Instagram. It was so funny. This guy was lying on the couch and on the couch at the therapist rooms and he was crying. He's like 45 with this beer belly. And he was like, my parents were there for me all the time. They were at every rugby match. They were always there for me. They took care of all my emotional needs. And I was laughing because we believe that our parents didn't take care of our emotional needs. So now we're overcompensating of making sure that we're there for the kids all the time. And now we call it the helicopter generation. And I didn't do consequences and rewards. And I believe that you've already said to me, oh, my kids will definitely have punishment. You've said that to me.
I did, I did.
So I think this is comforting for parents to know that like you're gonna do the best you can, but your kids are probably gonna do it differently. Like that's the cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
That is the cycle. And who's to know who's really right? Because it's everybody's unique journey, right?
Mm, mm.
Okay, so Jada, you've got a whole big future ahead of you. I'm so jealous because when I look back, like I'm like, oh, if I could redo some of my years with your mindset. What gives you the most hope looking into the future?
Well, I mean, firstly, the obvious would be the adventures, the traveling I want to do, the experiences I want to gain. But I think the most important aspect of it was, this last year, I really got an experience for and a little bit or a glimpse of understanding for how things work, how the world operates. And, it's such a little glimpse that, there's still so much out there that I have to yet to learn. And so I think it's the thought of throughout the lifetime trying to absorb as much as possible, like I've said before, and learn and just get better.
Wow, that's beautiful. So what I'm hearing is if it can be like already this 1 year out of my life was so growing and I mean it wasn't all good, but there was so much progress in
Yeah.
1 year. Like you
And it
can't
was like,
imagine in 5 years where you'd be, and that's what gives you so much
yeah,
hope.
exactly. Exactly. No, you hit it spot on. It's just 1 year and I've learned so much, what else is out there. And I think that's definitely one of the motivating factors for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Jade, you're absolutely amazing. It's so funny because every time we have like a gathering, like at Jed's 18th birthday, his dad he can't even say one word and he's already crying. So I think we've got to definitely send your dad the link to this so that he can have a good cry. We're both so super proud of you, my boy.
Thank you.
And what if you could take one thing, like one thing from this interview that you would like to emphasize or for people to take away from this, what would that be?
I think, that I can't necessarily say one exact thing because there's so many, extreme lessons and things you can utilize from this interview. But if there was the most important thing I would say is, you know, being able to see the positive and negatives. I think that plays a vital role in absolutely everything that we do, and you can use it on a day-to-day basis, whether you can use it absolutely anywhere. And I think it's a very important lesson that I learned and I continue to use. So if that was one thing someone could take out of this was to see the positives in the negatives.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so I've got some really cool ways to do that. I've heard from some people, like the minute something happens, I mean, we call it a trigger, right? The minute something happens and you don't want that to be happening, they go like, this is really good. This is really, really good. I don't know why, but I'm soon going to find out. And just that helps you to embrace it versus push it away. I have a friend that says it's like just a big surprise party. It's a big surprise party. And every day we get surprises and versus challenges. So it will be like, I don't know, you drop the milk and it goes splash and it's like, surprise! And you know, everything. Oh, my alarm went off late. Oh my goodness, I'm going to be late for work. This is so good. This is so good. Something good is going to come out of this. I just don't know what it is, but something good is going to come out of this. So it's such a small tweak, but it really makes the biggest difference. The biggest difference. Um, and you know, if you know about the yin and the yang and how the world really works with energies, in every situation, there has to be positive and negative. Positive
Yeah,
cannot live without the negative. So
yeah,
sometimes just have to look very, very deeply for that. And sometimes it's something simple like I got to see how strong I was. Like I was
mm,
reminded how strong I
yeah.
am.
And sorry to interrupt, but it's like sometimes you're in a situation where you're like, how could there be anything positive that's gonna come from this? And like you said, you really have to go deep into it. And sometimes you only see it looking back. Um,
And you're like, oh, that's why that had to happen.
yeah.
That showed me this, but you're not going to see it if you don't take that moment to look and find it. Because
Mhm.
let's face it, guys, like if if I could put money on this, like in my heart and everything, I'd put all of it out there. What are the chances that things are going to come your way? Whether it's straight after this meeting, tomorrow or next week, that you don't want, that you don't wish. What are the chances? 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's how we navigate those things, really, that's going to get us through it. And then there's a very important thing that I really feel strongly that I want to say. We're always chasing something. So we always want to be further than where we are. We want to have more money. We want to know more. We want to be in that relationship. We want to have paid off our debt. We want to be further, like always. But where are we going? Anyway, there's no destination. There is no destination because when you get there, there's going to be a little bit further and a little bit further. But the thing that I've learned is it is so vitally important to look back and see how far you've come. To even say to yourself, in the last year, what areas have I grown in? What have I learned about myself? Because that's what makes this journey of life meaningful. We want to live a meaningful life. Otherwise, what's the point? You wake up, you go to work, you go to bed. You wake up, you go to work, you go to bed. And then you go on a 3-week December holiday, and then guess what? You start again. Rinse and repeat and a hamster wheel. So if we want the meaning of life, we have to pause and find it. It's not going to find us. We have to find it. And that's really what I've gotten from you, Jedd. You really suck out the meaning of life because you make life meaningful. And yes, I continue to learn so much from you. Thank you for today. Is there anything else you want to say before I close up?
Um, Not necessarily. I just want to thank you for inviting me on. The opportunity to express some of the thoughts and lessons I've learned throughout my life. It's definitely strange to be able to express it to an audience of people. But yeah, no, I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated and thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you, Jedd. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for being so open to being interviewed and to be vulnerable and letting me share your stories. When I sent you the cover of this thing, I thought you were going to say, no, you can't put that on. But you were just so accepting and just brave. You were just so brave. So thank you.
No.
Okay, so I just want to end off by saying thank you to Mpumi and Lillian, and I see our phones just logged off. But really, that I had a whole lot of people saying to me, "I'm so sorry I can't be here tonight. Please share the link. I'm so sorry I can't be here tonight. Please share the link." If anybody is sitting here today and they're thinking to themselves, I know I've got work to do, but there's so much work to do, and where do I even start? Growth is one of our emotional needs. If we're not growing, we're dying. And
Yeah.
we can resist it, but good luck with that. We have to grow to live. And so there is a lot of stuff out there. Where do I even begin? Breath work, meditation, generational patterns, triggers, limiting beliefs. Oh, the list just goes on and on. So we have a beautiful solution to many, many people's problems. We've developed, my beautiful team and I have developed something called the Grit Quest. The Grid Quest is an app that you download and you just start. It's a whole journey of just 8 to 15 minutes a day that you log on, you watch a short video, and then you have to go live something. So, okay, so today we learned something. Okay, now today, when this happens, go try this because your life becomes your learning. And I get people saying to me all the time, like, how did you know that was going to happen? Like, how did you know? And I'm like, because it happens to all of us and we are all so similar. And some great things about the quest is every 5 days you answer 5 journal questions, you take a photo and you upload it, and then onto the app, and then you get personalized feedback, literally. So if it was, I'm going to use Lillian because she's got her camera on. So if it was Lillian, I'm going to be like, Lillian, I saw how you navigated that. I saw you paused and I saw that the result was different. I hope you can see that. And going into next week, remember this. So it's like having your own personal coach. We have seen such amazing results through this quest. Literally, people have come off, please, this is not medical advice. We don't give medical advice. But literally, they've gone to their psychologists, and the psychologists and the psychiatrists have said you're ready to come off your medication. You're not on your anxiety medication, not on your antidepressants. I've had people who have autoimmune diseases, we're living on a 10 out of 10 pain, who are managing it on a 2 and a 3 out of 10. So we're getting the physical healing because, as you know, it all starts in the mind. So if you give me one moment, you see, this is where I normally have my team on, and then they will paste it in the chats, but I'm just going to quickly take it out of I'm going to put it in the chat. And then if somebody's watching this, because it's being recorded, then we will put it in the YouTube description. Okay, so there we go. And so what's really great about this, by the way, is that the first 2 weeks are completely free. You just start. You just start and you don't pay. And then if you can show up for 2 weeks in a row consistently, then you will know that you're ready and that you have what it takes, because not everyone is ready. Not everybody has what it takes. And then you'll pay 300 Rand a month. But you have to qualify for that. And what I mean by that is you have to show up for 2 weeks. Then you get to 300 Rand a month. Otherwise, it's usually actually 500 Rand a month. This is in the teacher space, it's in the corporate space, it's in the parent space. It's really, really amazing. And if this isn't for you, maybe you're sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, like somebody else could need it now. So I'm putting that in the link. Is there anything you want to say? Anybody else on this thing? I know it's been a lot to hear. Anything you want to contribute? What is your biggest take home? What did you get from this? Any questions? No pressure, Mpumi and Lillian.
Hi, my name is Lilian from Switzerland. It's a big pleasure to get to know you, and what an honor to also see you, Jess.
Jedd, yes,
Yeah,
Jedd.
no.
Yeah, and it gave me hope because I have a 14-year-old and he's pretty struggling with screen addiction, and I was just imagining when my boy is 18 and he's capable to speak like you. I mean, I'm sure he will make it. It gave me hope that this is just a moment, and you young people turn out beautiful no matter what. And thanks for sharing.
No, thank you. Thank you for listening. I do appreciate it.
You have
Lillian,
a fan in Switzerland.
yeah, she's
Sorry?
all the way from Switzerland.
You
Oh,
have a
wow.
fan in Switzerland, yeah.
Oh, you got a fan in Switzerland. Lillian, I think so many people who are watching this would be feeling exactly like you are right now. And I actually meant to say that at the beginning of this. I wanted to say, please, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, but my child, my child like crumbles when there's a challenge, or like you said, my child like is on the screen all the time, like just know, like it is gonna get in. Like just keep being there for them, like I know you are. Just keep loving them, keep guiding them, and absolutely, they are gonna turn out to be their best versions. But yes, again, it's all a process, and it's their own journeys. So no comparing here is what I'm saying. Thank you, Lillian. And Puppy, is there anything?
Hi, Candice. I'm also so thrilled to listen to Jedd. Hearing a young adult talking like Jedd, it is a blessing, more especially in our country. Gave me
Thank you.
hope. You gave me hope. Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mpumi.
yay. Yay, and
Thank
Pumi,
you,
that's
Jedd.
so beautiful. I'm covered in goosebumps. So thank you. Thank you for showing up and for listening and for being present. I'm going to stop this
Thank you.
recording.